You're down here brushing ants off, the cloth that you're sitting on. Oh, there's another ant. And you get so focused on chasing all of them away. A couple hours have passed and somebody's, all right, time to go home. And you say, what about the fireworks? They were there. Weren't you watching? It was amazing. You don't want to look back someday and say, well, I missed all that. I missed all the amazing and beautiful and wonderful and fun stuff because I was too obsessed with the small details. If you heard me last time, I took ground, center, breathe. It's the basic stance of all we do, and I made it simple. No advanced calculation, no doctor's degree needed, no manipulation of energies. It's just ground, center, breathe. It's easy. If you weren't here, go back and watch it. But see, with that, all the hardest stuff in your life is taken care of. Yeah, you're still going to be annoyed by your mom or frightened of your dad or unhappy with your boss or fighting with your lover or spouse. These things still happen. You're human. And every human goes through trouble with the people around them. That's not going to go away. But if you're grounded and centered and breathing, those things will come and they'll go and they won't bother you so much. So with GCB, the worst part of this, the hardest part, the messiest part's gone. You find, when you're grounded and centered and breathing, that it's easier to smile. You may be sitting there minding your own business and just find you're smiling. And so with the hardest part of it out of the way, this is where I want to push you forward 2 steps, but both in the same direction. The one is to really pay attention to the bigger picture. Go out and walk in a park whenever you've got a chance and try and hear the music. Try and really listen to it and feel it. If you've never talked to a tree, or better yet, listened to a tree, just go lean against a tree for an hour and listen to it. And if you like water, go for a swim or go sit by a lake or a sea and really listen to what's going on. Pay attention to the deep stuff. It's in this way, paying attention to the elements, that you'll start to notice there's some really cool stuff going on out there. A year ago, even 6 months ago, when you went out there, if you were to pay attention and really listen to things at a deep level, it was chaotic. There was struggle and fighting and shouting and things clanging together. And now, if you're paying attention, it's much calmer. And when you can really focus, it's beautiful. There's really amazing things. And just watching a tree, watching a cloud move, listening to the wind, you're going to find it's astounding. The changes that have happened in the last 9 months are almost impossible to believe if you're paying attention. And so if you're waking up every day and saying, oh, it's another day, whatever, I have to deal with this and that, and you're missing just how astounding it is, I want to encourage you to pay attention. How do you pay attention? Well, if you really don't know, talk to your teachers. But mostly it's the small stuff. Look at the messages on people's t-shirts. Less and less am I seeing black t-shirts with kill them all and let God sort them out, or, bloody swords or death metal bands. And increasingly on people I'm seeing t-shirts that say things like love and awareness, or dare to dream, open your eyes, the world's beautiful. Peace matters, care about people. These kind of things, stuff I wouldn't have seen on a t-shirt when I was, at university 25 years ago. And now I'm seeing them all over the place. This isn't like the hippie revolution way back when a handful of people were refusing to bathe and burning their bras and trying very hard to visualize a new world, and they were rejected by society. This is all of society changing. Walk into a fashionable shop where they've got all of the latest fashion. And increasingly, you're going to find things in white or bright colors and not black, red. Increasingly, you're going to find messages like the one I've talked about. You're going to see it in the clothes. And when you're walking down the street, you're still going to find people who are angry or frustrated, but increasingly, if you actually meet someone's gaze, if you actually say hello to people, you're going to find the people are changing. Now, for those of you who don't have the sensitivity to know it, to notice it, just about everybody in the world had the energy in their legs cut off, right at the top of their legs, and they weren't grounding and they weren't sourcing and their guts were a mess. We have worked on that, and now something is reaching up from the earth itself into people all over the world and repairing that disconnect so that everybody's grounded, so that everybody's sourcing. Yes, you can still unground if you want, but when you're not paying attention, the earth tends to reach up and ground you. It's helping. And the result is that there's a lot less anger, aggression, fear, violence out there. Yes, I'm sure if you read the papers, they will still tell you all sorts of horrible stories. This is what the papers do. They feed you the most horrible stories they can find. But if you ignore the so-called news, NEWS, it usually stands for not even worth seeing. Ignore the news and just go out and watch the people. And you'll find they're calmer, they're more aware. If you look at, and it's too recent really to be easy to find the stats, but if you look at crime stats anywhere in the world, you're going to find the crime rate is dropping off. Violent crime, assault, rape, murder, that these things are dropping off, that all of the things that promoted that, the anger, the fear, the violence, the anxiety, they aren't as strong anymore because the people out there are staying grounded and it's going away and healthier energy is coming up. And the garbage that's been stored in the guts and the war between the genders and all of the muck that many people keep in their butts, all of these energies are starting to ground away. And you got to have a good eye to see it right now. It's not like people are dancing in the street and singing Kumbaya. It's not quite as apparent as that. But if you have a good eye, if you're willing to look, if you have a good ear and you're willing to listen, you're going to find that things are different. Here in the Netherlands, when I came here, I found that a lot of the older people walked around with this permanent frown, this bitter, judgmental look, and they'd criticize anybody if they had a chance. And it was really, really common. I've lived many places around the world, and here it's really obvious. Increasingly over the last 2 or 3 months, I'm seeing these same people with this permanent frown, and they're walking around smiling. You know, little old ladies who were shake their cane at me 6 months ago will now go by and they'll stop and look at me and smile. You know, little old men who are frustrated and angry are now whistling as they walk down the street. Again, it's not this huge dramatic change yet, but it's changing as fast as this world could handle. It's, imagine an airliner flying. Every seat full, everybody with trays of food. If it just turned around like this, people would be thrown from their seats and they'd be hurt and food would be flying everywhere and people would be very unhappy. The world's bigger than an airliner. To make as dramatic a change as it's doing, it can't just 180. It would rip things apart. And so it's changing as fast as it can. And so while 10 years from now we'll look back and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe all that happened. For now, we have to understand that we're in the middle of it, and it may not be completely obvious. We have to watch for it. We have to listen for it. For those with a good sense of smell, smells are actually changing. If there are any musicians out there, I challenge you to listen to classical music, say. And what you'll find, what I've found with classical music, with church bells, with a number of pop songs, is that they just sound out of tune now. They're clashing. This music, it's been around sometimes for hundreds of years. It no longer sounds right because the underlying music that weaves the worlds we live in has changed. And so as you watch, in the last 2 months and the next several months, we're going to see a lot of new kinds of music. We're going to see bands that have been popular for a long time just disbanding or nobody buying their albums. And ones nobody's ever heard of, suddenly everybody's going to be saying, oh, this just sounds so perfect. I don't know why. And so this is the first of the 2 steps I want to give you. I want to encourage you to make the effort, not just in one moment, but over and over, to pay attention, to be aware, to stop and watch the people. If it's not too terrifying, to talk to a stranger or 2 every day. Just ask people about their lives and listen to their response. To walk in the park, to walk along the beach, to sit on top of a mountain and listen to the wind and watch the clouds. Just to pay attention and to do it over and over. And if you're, the scientific type, you may actually want to take notes. Today it sounded like I heard bells, and yesterday I thought it was something else. It may help you to take notes, but you don't have to. This isn't a school assignment. This isn't a thing on which you'll be graded. This is like a fireworks show. This is the most amazing and remarkable time that your planet has seen. Probably, I don't know, since the dinosaurs walked around. And it's important to be aware of it. Now the second step, that's one, the second step in the same direction, is I want to encourage you people to do things. Martin, for instance, said he was in a train, and he had a little angel light on the table in front of him. And a woman came up and said, that's beautiful, and asked him some questions, and he told her about it. He was able to answer her questions and talk with her. It doesn't take a lot. Just sit and talk with people. Listen to them. Answer their questions. Help them out. I sat for, an hour perhaps, in a coffee shop this week and talked to a couple of people. And they were seekers, and increasingly I'm seeing this. When I talk to someone, they're seekers. I'm trying to get my life together. I'm trying to find something that makes sense. I'm looking for deeper meaning. I feel something important is happening and I want to be part of it. And these 2 were. But they were confused. They hadn't had any guidance. They had no idea what they were doing. And so I talked to them for an hour and gave them some answers. Now, a couple of the kids were with me. And the whole time we sat there, they didn't say anything. These 2 fairly senior Elfpath people sat there. And if I asked them, what do you think about that? They'd say, well, okay, here's a little. And they'd go back to their If there were enough of me in the world, right? If there were 1 billion of me walking around, this would be fine. But see, there aren't. There's currently 1 of me walking around this world, give or take. And there's a lot of you guys. Now, not that many years ago in the big scheme of things, in this lifetime, I met a shaman on top of a mountain out in Arizona. And he talked to me for a while about the things I can sense and the things I could do and what I thought was going on. And he said, why aren't you helping more people? I said, well, I don't really understand it all yet. He said, how do you think you're going to start to understand? How are you going to learn? I don't know, he said, by talking about it. You start teaching people, it will teach you. And he actually wasn't very nice about it. He called me a number of names for being so dense and stupid and refusing to help people. But he was right. I was thinking, someday I'll have all the answers. Someday it will all fit together. It will all make sense. And then I can talk to people. And I told him this. And he said, yeah, you know when that will happen? When you have all the answers, when it all fits together? Just a few seconds after you die. That's when it will all make sense. When all the pieces come together. Not until then. As long as you're wearing a body, this isn't going to happen. Not all the pieces are going to fit. You don't have all the answers. He said, but people need help. They have even less answers than you do. What you know is important and can make a difference in their lives. Go out and talk to them. Use what you know and help people. And I decided he was right. I mean, I'd been helping people before that once in a while, but once he said that, I started doing it actively. Looking for people to talk to, looking for people who need help. Actually walking into people's lives and saying, you. Gimli did this a while back with a man who was suicidal. Just grabbed him and said, you. Have you been depressed lately? Are you having a hard time? And he talked to him, and only for a moment, but he changed the boy's life. So this is the second step I want to tell you. I want you to get busy. And for many of you, you think either, well, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, something like that, or it's too hard. The truth is, it's not hard. Gimli, when you talked to this guy who was depressed, was it hard?
No.
No? Was it pretty easy?
Yeah.
You just said whatever came to your mind and you left. That was it.
Yes.
Did you help him?
Yes.
Maybe. You don't know.
True.
But see, you don't have to know. You're not going to give people comment cards they fill out and mail back in. You just say what comes to you and you walk away. And this may seem like it's not, going to be that helpful. But I've been doing this for a while now. And I've had people come back to me, sometimes years later, and say, that little thing you told me, that helped me so much. You don't know, but you don't have to know. They're not going to grade you, and you don't get to grade you. You just talk to people. Just, hey, what's going on? You see something needs done, you do it. You see a place where it feels right to get involved, you get involved. See, there's this idea that there are a handful of people out in the world causing trouble, and there's a handful of superheroes out there. People like me. Changing things and doing things and saying things. Well, of course, he can say that because, he's, him. He's a superhero. And the truth is that the truly amazing people are not born amazing. The truly amazing people are the ordinary people who dare to do extraordinary things. And that starts by being confident enough to talk to a stranger. When your boss is upset about something and you feel this, you say this. When your spouse is unhappy and you feel this, you say this. It starts off by trusting what you got in your guts and listening and feeling and hearing and sensing, and then just saying, just doing. It may be nothing more than a touch on the arm or holding a door for somebody. That may be enough. That could be enough, truly, to change their life. Somebody who's suicidal and desperate and afraid, they think nobody cares about them. And you notice, and you hold the door open, and you smile at them when they go past. You never see them again. But for the next 20 years, you're going to be telling people, I had a day, it was so hopeless, I was ready to end it all. And this person, they opened the door for me, and they smiled, and for a moment I felt like somebody really loved me, and it changed everything. My whole life turned around. You don't know. You can't know when it happens. But these little things change lives. And when you start changing lives in small ways, and you get more comfortable, sometimes you start changing life in bigger ways. And you do this, you can become a superhero. You can become extraordinary. And it starts by doing the small things. Right? For those of you who say it's too difficult, way too complicated, ground, center, breathe, feel, and then say whatever's there. That's not difficult. Scary? Yeah, sometimes, but not difficult. And for those who say you don't know enough, I hate to break it to y'all, but you're not as smart as you think you are. Real wisdom doesn't come from knowing things. Real wisdom comes from the guts and then from the heart. And as you start caring about people and sharing things, your guts will get more alive and your heart will come online. And you'll say what you need to, right? So it's not difficult. Ground, center, breathe, feel, and then do whatever's there. And it's not complicated. Guts, heart if you know how. And then just act. This doing thing isn't difficult. And see what happens if you do. Maybe you only change one life. But if you help, and that person goes out and helps someone else, and that person goes out and helps a couple more people, that one act of kindness can change 10 or 50,000 lives over the next 20 years. It may seem small to you, but it can change a huge number of lives. Just as one act of violence or cruelty can make someone shut down and become bitter for the rest of their life. And so they're cruel to others, and that spreads and spreads and spreads. One act of kindness, one act of real, genuine integrity spreads. And as you continue to do this every day, one after another, you spread it to more and more people who are spreading it to people who are spreading it to people. And in this way, we change the world. It's easy to say, yes, there are superheroes and there are bad guys and there are all the rest of us in between. And the truth is that all of us in between can become good guys. We don't have to say, I'm not extraordinary. I'm just ordinary. We can say, well, this needs done and I'll do it. And I guarantee that if you start that attitude now, this needs done, so I'll do it with as much integrity as I have. And you do it every day for the next 10 years. All the people in your life will look at you and call you extraordinary. You just do these things. You have so much confidence and so much power. How do you do it? You'll tell them, well, just start doing things, little things. Do them with integrity. They say, no, I'll never be like you. You're amazing. It's not that difficult. Most of you look at Roja and think she's amazing. Right? She's running a worldwide organization. She is writing classes that are taking mysteries that come from the last 10, 20,000 years, and she's turning them into simple exercises you can do and giving them cute names like Sweet or, Gut Muck or GCB so that you can grab hold of them and use them. You might think, well, yeah, but Roja's a superhero. She's not. She was just an ordinary person. There's things she was afraid of, things she was uncomfortable with, things she couldn't do, not that long ago. But she said, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I want to help. So I'll start doing what I can, doing small things. And in a short time, the small things were easy. She said, all right, I want to do more. And she starts doing more. That got easy. All right, I want to do more. And now some of you look and say, Roja, she's a genius. How does she do it? Or, God, she's got so much compassion. I've seen her give someone a hug and they break out in tears right on the spot. Right? She's a superhero. She's an ordinary person who chose to act extraordinary. And by continuing to act extraordinary, talking to people, helping people, caring about people, she's becoming extraordinary. And 10 years from now, if she keeps it up, or 8 years from now, whatever it is, people all over will be saying, oh, she's far more than human. Look at her. I mean, I could never be like that. And if someone dares to ask her, she'll tell them, you know what? Find somebody today that you think needs help or needs to be listened to, and just help them in a small way. Just do it with integrity. And you keep doing that for 10 years, and they'll say, oh, no, that can never happen. I'm ordinary and you're amazing. And she'll say, well, yeah, 10 years ago I was ordinary and I'm doing this. He's like, yeah, but you're a superhero, you're special. And I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way. There are no radioactive spiders going to jump out and bite us in the butt. No little baby spaceships crashing from the planet Krypton. The superheroes of our world, the extraordinary people, are the ordinary people who dare to act and to do it again and to do it again, day after day. If you can act with integrity and compassion, you can change the world. It'll take a few years till it becomes really instinctive, intrinsic to you. But it's really not that complicated. Any one of you, anybody can be extraordinary. It doesn't matter what belt level you have. If you think, well, I've got to do this for 3 years and get a black belt before I can start trying. No. I have seen people at yellow belt who said there's someone who's, frustrated or sad or whatever, and talk to them and watch that person go away changed. I've watched folks at green belt where the heart's online talk to people and really make a difference in their lives. You don't have to wait until you're a black belt to get started. You can start today. If you're a white belt, if you're only thinking about getting a white belt, maybe this whole path is interesting. I'm thinking about getting a white belt. You can still start today. Just go out and find something that seems to need done. Could be as simple as picking up some trash that's been laying somewhere for months because, you want to make the world a little more beautiful. And maybe tomorrow somebody else walking by will say, oh, somebody picked that up. It's amazing. And it will help them. It doesn't have to be big things. And you don't have to be a big person. You get busy, you get active, you do it now. So these are the 2 steps that I want to encourage all of you. 1, I want you to pay attention. Because this is the biggest fireworks show in the history of humanity. And if you're busy counting the ants, you're going to miss all of that's going on. Look up. Look down and deep inside the earth. Look at people. Look at the world. Not just with your eyes, with your ears, with your sense of smell, with your hands, with every breath. Be aware. Because there's phenomenal stuff happening. And the only way to notice it is to pay attention. You can look back in, say, 20, 25 years if you're still around and say, wow, look how much has changed since then. But at that point, it'll be like reading a history book or a biography, and those are boring. Right? Nobody enjoys reading history books or biography. Well, maybe history professors. Right now, you're living it. You don't have to wait until someday. You can watch it happen. And when you notice it happening, you can be part of it. I see a little more of this every day. I'm going to try doing this. And you're going to find it works. Everything's changing. If you're a musician, start making music with passion and compassion and integrity, and it will work with a new energy, and it will make an impression on people. It will change lives. If you're a poet, write poetry with passion and compassion and intensity. If you're an author, a photographer, a dancer, an actor, it doesn't matter. Do what you do. If you code web pages, do it with that same passion and compassion and integrity, and that energy will get into your work. If all you do is clean windows or clean cars for a living, with every window you clean, with every car you clean, hold that gut level awareness of who you are. Integrity, passion, compassion, and what you do will end up in your work. And people will come by and look in that window, or people that car drives by will be slightly changed by the energy you've put into it. You don't have to be a CEO or a president or a patron saint of something. In every little thing you do, in every breath you take, in every moment, you can pay attention and you can act. You don't have to be, like one of these people carrying the end is near signs, running around shouting about the end of the world. You don't have to be obnoxious like that. You don't have to run up and grab people. All right, I'm going to tell you about Elfpath. No, it's not about Elfpath. It's about the world changing. All you got to do is walk up and say hi. And maybe they'll listen. Maybe it'll make a difference in their lives. I was sitting yesterday and a woman came up to me, and I was, working on the Life Path Archetype stuff I was writing, and she came up and quite brilliantly said, "You're writing." And a proper response might be, "What are you, an idiot? Of course I'm writing. Pen, paper, writing." But I smiled at her and said hello and said, "Yes, I'm writing something and I think it will someday be famous." And apparently she misunderstood me. She said, "Really? I'm going to be famous? That's great!" And she got so excited. And she ran out and she came back to ask me my name because I told her she was going to be famous. I don't know why she heard that. It wasn't what I said. But perhaps it's just what she needed to hear. Perhaps she's looking for a job in acting, or she's in television, or something. Totally unintentionally, I got this woman all excited because she's going to be famous. And that excitement may be enough to carry her into something that makes her famous. And she's going to look back and say, that guy said it and it was true. No, your passion made it true. I just happened to accidentally trigger that passion. And it didn't take me standing on a soapbox and talking. For those you don't know, a soapbox is a crate people used to stand on to talk to a crowd, right? It didn't take me standing up on a box talking to people. It just took me listening to a woman, smiling and speaking gently, just saying whatever was there. And it was a 15-second conversation. And she practically skipped out the door. She was so excited. It works like that. And again, you might say, well, you can do that because you're a superhero. And I'm going to say, no. I can do that because I'm a person who's been doing that for a few years. And every single one of you fits those same characteristics. You're a person. You can do that. You can talk to a stranger or smile or open a door for someone or help someone carry something or just small things. If you do it from your guts with integrity, with compassion, with awareness, when you're able, with a sense of passion and excitement, those little acts are going to change lives. They're going to help to rewire people at fundamental levels. And so there's much more that I could say tonight, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to wind it up here and ask you to take these two things away with you. Maybe write them down somewhere so you don't forget, right? Put it somewhere by your bed so that when you wake up you see it. And these are the two things. Be aware. Look, listen, feel, smell, taste, touch, whatever. Be aware. Because this is an amazing time in our history, in the history of this planet. Right? And begin to act. Doesn't have to be big and amazing. Just stay in your guts. Ground center, breathe, feel. And do or say whatever comes up. And if somebody gets angry and they shout, just okay, that's fine, and go away. And do it again with the next person. Ground, center, breathe, feel. Do or say what's there, and you just keep doing it. In the many years that I've done this, I can probably find 5 times, with the thousands of people I've worked with, probably 5 times that someone's freaked out, gotten upset, yelled, shouted, called me a name. I have literally worked with thousands of people, and maybe 5 of those have gotten upset. And I can't tell you, I simply have no way to count, I don't have records of how many people have looked at me and said, I love you, you're so amazing, you've changed my life, I'll never be the same. Not because I'm a superhero, but because I took the time to listen with awareness and integrity, and then to say whatever I felt like saying. And it wasn't always big, brilliant stuff. Sometimes it was simple as, those are really ugly shoes. But if you say it with integrity and it comes from here, you can change lives. And that one, in fact, did. Right? It doesn't take magic. It doesn't take being a superhero. It takes being aware of this wonderful stuff that's going on and being willing to act in small ways. Now, willing to act, you might think, okay, I'm willing. And you go through the day and don't do anything, and you come home and you go to bed and say, okay, well, I'm willing. This kind of willingness works best if you actually, hit the gas pedal a little bit. You don't have to go out and drive race cars around super fast. Just little bits here and there's enough. A word, a gesture, a smile. Maybe just not lashing back when someone barks at you. Right? Somebody's upset and says, "Ah, rah, rah, rah." And you say, you seem like you're having a tough day. That may be enough. Here they were trying to pick a fight and you were understanding. That may be enough to change their life. You don't know and you won't know. There are cases, and I promise you this will happen. There are cases where someone will come back to you years later and say that little thing you did, that made all the difference. It will happen, and you won't know at the time. And so don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about saving people's lives. Don't worry about changing things. Don't worry about what they say. I think it was Jewel recently, it takes some practice to learn to really, really care about somebody and not care at all about what they do. Right? A parent might say, I don't want you to be an artist. I want you to be an engineer so you can make money and raise your kids. And you might say to a spouse, I don't want you doing that because it's dangerous. There are many times and many ways we tell people, I care about what action you take. And I'm telling you, don't care about the actions. Care about the person. If you give someone amazing advice and they ignore it, and they screw something up or get hurt, you don't say, well, I told you, you didn't do what I told you. Because you don't care about what they do. What they do is up to them. It's their path. It's their process. You just care about the person. You just look at them and you say, I care about you, and here's what needs said. And when you're done, you can walk away or go sit down or just stop talking. Don't evaluate yourself. Don't evaluate them. Don't care about getting it right. Don't care about being a superhero. Don't care about these things. Just with integrity, compassion, and passion, awareness, just do whatever's there. If it's smile, if it's, tip your hats, skip down the street, sing a song, sit silently, it doesn't matter. Long as you act with that integrity, compassion, you really care about people, you will be changing lives. So that's what I want to encourage you to do. Not just be willing, but to actually do. Just little things every day. 1, 2, 5, 10 small things every day. And when you start feeling more confident, more aware, you want to do more, talk to your teacher and say, hey, I've been doing this and I really like it and I want to do more. And, your teacher will help you find a better path to do more. But for now, don't worry about those things. Be aware of the amazing changes going on, of how astoundingly beautiful this world is becoming. Just be aware. And over and over again, act in small ways. Just reach out, touch, smile, speak a few words. With integrity, passion, compassion, awareness, from the heart, from your guts. Just act. Those 2 steps will make a huge difference. You do those things, in 10 years, you'll be famous. People will look back at you and say, you're a superhero. And you'll say, no, I'm just an ordinary person who, tries to do things. And they won't believe you. They're going to say, oh, no, you were born a superhero, clearly, because you're so amazing. No, I just started ordinary and I did these things. You can too. And they won't believe it. But you'll know it's true because you went through it. This simple. Be aware and act. That said, see you in a couple weeks.